Hello, insomniacs. I'm Kurious Cyclopes.
And I'm concerned.
He is concerned.
And Steve.
And today, we're going to discuss something pretty awesome. Alright, well, in general, we want to discuss horror games. Now, this can be anything from computer games, video games, board games, just horror games in general, okay? So, do you want me to start off this bad boy?
Yeah, bring her in, man. Get a good sip going. I'm gonna join you.
Yeah, let's cheers. Fuck it. We haven't had a good proper cheers in a couple episodes. I feel like, God, I love it. All right. Well, so let me tell you about my first experience with a horror game. It's actually two that were very, very early in my life. So my first video game console as a kid, it actually was the Super Nintendo. Obviously it was already out for a few years by the time I was old enough to play them like a toddler. Like,
right.
I started playing Super Nintendo when I was like 4, so that's when we got it. But anyway, so yeah, my mom got us the Super Nintendo one Christmas. You know, we got Super Mario World, a couple of other fun games. Eventually, my mom apparently picked up a video game for herself, probably just because she was like interested in the technology, because you know it was a big deal back in the day. Like,
right.
Super Nintendo, look at those graphics, holy shit! So yeah, my mom bought a game for herself, and I guess back then it was supposed to be like a mature adult Super Nintendo game. Even though at that point they didn't really have a parental system for like M and T
yeah,
and E.
I mean, even if you look on the console, there's rating on it.
There's no rating on this because I guess that probably didn't come around until. They didn't even have that for N64, did they? No, N64. I think that's the first time Nintendo.
I believe so. Yeah.
Because I think Perfect Dark was like M or like T at least. But anyway, so yeah, my mom got this crazy game called Out of This World. I really fucking love this game, and when I was a kid, I almost thought of it like I literally was like, oh my god, it's like playing a horror film. So obviously it's not like the graphics are super crazy or anything, but it was my first experience, you know, experiencing horror in a playable format versus just seeing them on TV. Because obviously at the point when I was 4, I probably saw just 1 or 2 clips of a horror film while my parents were watching it. So anyway, like Out of This World, you pretty much go around this world. Right in front of the beginning, there's like this big evil fucking monster that chases you. It's kind of like a mix of sci-fi and horror, but it terrified the shit out of me. There's ways that you can die, and even though it's 16-bit graphics, the deaths are kind of brutal. Like, so you know, there was a lot of scary imagery. So my first experience with a horror game was definitely Out of This World. In other countries, it's called Another World, but it actually became more relevant recently. It got like an anniversary release and all that. So moving on from there, I went to my cousin's house, you know, a couple times as a kid on my dad's side of the family, and my cousins, Leon and Viken, they would play this computer game called Seventh Guest. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So Seventh Guest was actually a computer game series back in the day, and pretty much it was a puzzle-solving game where you had to complete puzzles within a certain time frame, and like depending on whether you would successfully do the puzzles or not, different shit would happen. So if you fucked up one puzzle, maybe this woman that was shown in the beginning of the clip, maybe now you see her getting stabbed in the back by someone. So it freaked me the hell out, dude. It was essentially puzzles and video clips of what the outcome was.
Right.
So that shit scared the shit out of me. I mean, I was really little when I was watching him play Seventh Guest. I remember I even tried doing a few of the puzzles, even though I wasn't smart enough at the time to do the puzzles, but it was scary just playing it. So yeah, my first 2 impressions were Out of This World and Seventh Guest. Now let's flash forward. So one year, I got my friend for his birthday when, you know, we were still pretty young. I got him Resident Evil for his PlayStation 1. I got him Resident Evil 2. So my first modernized like gaming experience with horror was Resident Evil 2, and it scared the fucking shit out of us. I mean, there's crows breaking through the window, dogs jumping through the window, zombies coming out of the corner like right when you walk through a door. So, playing Resident Evil 2, me and my friend, we actually screamed a few times, like, ah! Like, because we got jump scared. And now and then his mom would come over and be like, I don't know if you guys should be playing this. Like, no, we're good. Anyway, eventually on GameCube, they remastered the original, and then they released the other ones on GameCube. So, of course, I have Resident Evil 0. I have the Resident Evil remake for GameCube. These are all GameCube. I got Resident Evil 2, which is the first one I played. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil Code Veronica. You have a Resident Evil game too, right?
Yeah. I have 1 and 4 digitally on my PlayStation, and then I have Resident Evil 7.
Oh wow!
Biohazard.
I really want to play that one.
Dude, it's
good.
Fucking creepy.
I heard that they kind of went back to its roots more.
They did. They also kind of went away from the normal storyline. Like, it doesn't do the whole Raccoon City police thing. Like, I haven't beat the game, so I'm not exactly sure what the game starts off. You're a guy who his wife went away to like babysit for a family for a while, like abroad, and then he just like stopped hearing from her, and then all of a sudden, like 3 years later, he gets an email from her that just says, "I'm home," and gives him an address, and he goes to the address to pick her up, and he finds her at the house, but she's being held there by like these creepy zombie like rednecks.
Okay,
yeah.
So they're still kind of conscious zombies, kind of like when you first saw in 4.
Yeah.
So they're kind of more intelligent zombies.
Yeah, definitely.
Not like rotting flesh zombies.
Right.
The only thing that kind of got my curiosity is how they went in first person for the first time. Except there were some side games like that were first person shooters on the original PlayStation.
Right.
But I don't count those as the main line. But, yeah, I found it interesting for the 7th one that they went to first person.
It definitely adds a creepy factor to it.
I know it's probably mostly because they really wanted to put the VR headset in there.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, so, did you ever have, like, a scary experience playing Resident Evil? Or were you too old by the time?
Oh, no. I mean, playing the original, like, 3 on PlayStation 1.
So you did play that when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Also, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So, cool.
It fucking terrifying. I mean, even, like... 4 freaked me out when I was playing it on PlayStation 2. I think that's because all the like bug, like creature-y things more than actual jump scares. But yeah, I mean, it still scares me to this day. I was jumping playing fucking 7.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fuck, I kind of want to play that then if it makes you jump.
The first like hour of that game is you just like walking around the house in the dark, and then like all of a sudden shit just like pops out at you.
I mean, of course, it's still the E3 footage where the dude with the shovel or whatever fucking hits you in the head.
Right.
But yeah, Resident Evil, obviously, the first one was in 96, so there wasn't too many horror survival games out there. So obviously, I would say it set the standard for, you know, horror games.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I love Resident Evil. The second one and the first one definitely creeped me out, but the second one most because I was a kid when I played that one.
Right.
Obviously, we all know they did film adaptations of the games, and I never really liked them. I mean, there was moments of some of them where I was like, oh, that's a cool action sequence, but, you know.
I'll give them the first one, but after that, it's just a real downhill slide.
I mean, at least the first one had the creepy-looking dogs. The zombie dogs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, besides the main games... Oh, yeah, actually, Resident Evil Revelations. Did you ever play that one?
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the first return to form Resident Evil game.
I think I only played Revelations 2. I don't think I played the first
Okay,
one.
Well, I do want to mention, I do have Resident Evil Revelations and Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D for my 3DS. They're both awesome, by the way, so definitely check them out. But Resident Evil Revelations, yeah, that was, I think, the first game after, what was it, 5 and 6?
Yeah.
It was the first game after 5 and 6 that they really tried to go back to the survival horror original feel, because in Revelations you're walking through tiny hallways, you know, you're inside, like, it's creepy. It's not a big open fucking landscape where you're just mowing down enemies,
right,
like in 5 and 6. But so I love Revelations, but you know, for Resident Evil, that pretty much sums it up. Moving on from there, oh yeah, I just want to mention this. We did say we're going to count kaiju as horror.
Oh, yeah.
In Japan back then, yeah, it was scary.
Sure.
So just want to mention Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. Obviously, this isn't a horror game per se. It just has kaiju characters and you beat the shit out of each other. So wanted to mention that. The first fucking game I got on the GameCube, wow, I thought it was revolutionary because, first of all, Luigi's Mansion. Come on. We all at least know about Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love this game. believe it or not, when I first played Luigi's Mansion, because it came bundled with the GameCube, there was moments that actually scared me. And by this time, I was at least, 14 maybe when the GameCube came out?
Probably around there.
Yeah. So, yeah, do you know why? Because there was some sound effects in the original Luigi's Mansion that the bosses would make, like, roar, 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 like scary noises. And, it is a creepy atmosphere. So, yeah, there was moments that creeped me out in that game, which is definitely silly because it's a fucking Mario.
Right.
But, yeah, the whole point is Luigi and Mario win a mansion from a contest they didn't answer. They find it kind of sketchy, so they go to check it out. Mario disappears. Luigi's trying to find his brother. So, I also got the strategy guide. Recently, on 3DS, they made Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. It doesn't have the same creepy atmosphere, but, I appreciate that it got a sequel. But the original is definitely the best. A few months ago, I went to Dave & Buster's.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Did you play that?
It's so much fun.
All right, guys. So, yeah, Dave & Buster's, they have a Luigi's. Here, why don't you tell them about it? Because you go to Dave & Buster's more.
It's like they build these shooter games and stuff where you literally, crawl inside and there's a screen in front of you.
Yeah, it's like a little cabinet that you sit in.
Yeah. It's totally immersive, and you actually sit in the Luigi's Mansion arcade version with the little vacuum gun thing.
The Poltergust.
Yep, that's what it's called. And when you suck the ghosts up, you actually can pull them from side to side and stuff. It senses your motion. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's actually resemblant of a game we will be bringing up in a few minutes. But yeah, so you're just you and your friend. You got 2 Poltergusts. You're going around sucking up the ghosts. So. Guys, go to Dave & Buster's if there's one near you because it is fun, especially if you like Luigi's Mansion, obviously. So moving up from Luigi's Mansion, like I said, I love it. It's awesome. The original has a creepy atmosphere. I never seen a game anything like it in my fucking life. But back when Game Crazy and Hollywood Video were around, I went to Game Crazy for $9.99. I might have even got it cheaper than that, but that's what the sticker says. But I got a game for GameCube called Eternal Darkness. I also have the strategy guide. Okay, Eternal Darkness. It is one of the best horror games I ever played in my fucking life. And it's not my burps. It's not horrifying in the sense that the graphics are so realistic and all that it scares you.
Right.
It's not the graphics that makes it scary. It's what the game does to you that makes it scary. So pretty much, your character in a game, every time they see something supernatural, like a book moving on a shelf or maybe a zombie, anytime they see something supernatural, it makes their insanity meter go up. So there's a life meter and an insanity meter. When your character's insanity meter gets filled, the game starts to make the player, you, go insane. I already knew this going into the game, but it still tricked me a couple of times because there's so many different things it does. For one instance, I'm in the middle of playing, I'm getting my ass kicked by zombies, and I'm slashing them with my sword. All of a sudden, the TV shuts off. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's not going back on. So I stand up, to turn the TV back on, because I thought maybe I sat on a remote. So guess what? As I'm about to push a button, the screen goes back on, and it continues off where I left off, getting my ass kicked. I'm like, what the fuck? So I run back to the couch, and I grab the controller. Another time, I thought I did something wrong because I'm walking down the hallway. All of a sudden, my character's head just gets cut off and it rolls on the ground.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck? So I thought I got game over, but then nothing was happening. All of a sudden, there's a white flash and my character's back to their original state. But I don't want to spoil too much. Oh, yeah, and there's even one where your screen goes staticky and all that. The volume goes up and down. But this thing does things to trick you into thinking that your TV's malfunctioning, into thinking that you fucked up in a game and got a game over. So it has insanity effects. I don't know any game that tried to replicate this.
Yeah.
But it's the only other example I can think of is, what was it, one of the Metal Gear Solid games where there's that villain that's oh, I can see what's on your memory card, and you had to put the controller into the second controller so he couldn't read your mind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Psycho Mantis, that's who it was. So the only games I know where they try to psychologically fuck and scare the player is in Eternal Darkness and that Metal Gear Solid game. So Eternal Darkness is definitely cool. It definitely went up in price. I know that because
for sure.
People even want a HD remaster and everything, and I don't blame them. So yeah, that's Eternal Darkness. Here's something really, really cool. So, Steve, what was one of the coolest things about going to the bowling alley back then? I would always do this at the bowling alley.
Oh yeah, same at Town and Country.
Yeah. So what was one of the highlights? Obviously, we probably were more into this than the bowling.
Oh, for sure.
So what are we going to talk about here?
That would be the first place, for me at least, that I ever played the House of the Dead series.
House of the Dead! So, yeah, the first time you played it was at the bowling alley?
Yeah.
Alright, well, yeah, I mainly played it at every bowling alley I went to that was local, because it seemed like everyone had it. I'm not even sure if Skateaway, the roller rink, had it. They might have, but it seemed like every fucking arcade back in the day had House of the Dead. In fact, even in recent years, when I went to an arcade in New Jersey, they had like House of the Dead 4, which was a couple years ago. But it seems like they haven't really gave up on it. They keep pumping it out.
No, I mean they still have them in like the Dave and Buster's and stuff too.
And it's really cool because obviously, I think the first one was just 2 players, where you had a pistol, you had to shoot at the screen. So it's similar to the Luigi's Mansion Dave and Buster's game in that sense, where you're shooting shit on screen. But the second one I loved because you got 2 pistols and a shotgun in the middle. Everyone fought over holding the shotgun. So that one was 3 players. But let me grab my thingy quick, my zapper. But Steve, did you ever play it on his console or anything?
Yeah, I played it back in the day on the Wii when I had that. I think I rented it from like 48 Hours Video because I saw it there and was just like, oh my god, House of the Dead?
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I didn't have the cool attachments.
Was it the original one or?
I think it was the 2 and 3 pack.
Okay, because you know what? I don't know if they ever did release House of the Dead 1.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did. It kind of makes you wonder, what is there a rights issue there again, just like with movies? But yeah, so we got House of the Dead 2 and 3. And then something that's fucking awesome is this never went to arcades, I don't believe. But I'm pretty sure this is exclusive to Wii. But well, actually, no, I think it might have been on other consoles. But this is House of the Dead Overkill. This one most people probably didn't play, but it's House of the Dead with a lot of fucking awesome humor, and they made it look like a Granny Grindhouse movie. So like everything is set up like a Grindhouse movie, like the quality and everything. There's a lot of hilarious dialogue, but you know what's cool? Steve actually has an awesome like home theater in his house, and he fucking said, he was like, Andy, we need to get some fucking zappers. Go into the theater and fucking shoot the shit out of those fucking zombies. And you know what? They have the arcade versions of 2 and 3 on the disc already, so it's just like the fucking arcade version. To be honest, I highly, highly recommend House of the Dead on Wii, because you can't get any closer to the arcade version than you can with the Wii. Because guess what? I played House of the Dead on, I'm pretty sure my friend's PlayStation back in the day, and it was so stupid because of course you had to use the joystick to move the cursor to shoot the zombies, and that sucked.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously when the Wii came out, hello, you have motion control, so make a stupid plastic gun, and then you're playing just like you would at the arcade.
Well, the thing I never understood was that even for like the PlayStation and stuff, they made one of the Resident Evil games had a gun that you could play with it. They made the Time Crisis games with gun controllers.
I did play Time Crisis on a PlayStation before, where you push the bottom of the gun to duck and all that?
Yep.
So you're saying they never utilized any of the guns for House of the Dead?
House of the Dead, nope.
Why?
I have no idea.
Especially because House of the Dead was already an amazing franchise.
Right.
Because it was around the arcades for all that time. Yeah, that's kind of a big shame that they didn't do that. But what gun could you use on Resident Evil?
Oh god, I can't remember which Resident Evil
was. Was it like
was.
One of those weird ones?
It was one of the side ones, yeah.
Okay, so I can't... Wow, that's crazy that you could even use a gun for that and not House of the Dead. So yeah, we do recommend playing House of the Dead on the Wii. Me and him are definitely going to be doing that soon.
For sure.
So definitely get a zapper or whatever. They're still cheap as fuck at used for GameStop. Any other video games specifically that you can think of? Whether it's a computer game, a console game.
I mean,
Oh, actually, I think you got a nice list of shit you played.
I have a little list, yeah.
Right, so yeah, tell us some of... a lot of this I didn't even play, so...
We got... This one I physically have.
Oh, The Evil Within.
The Evil Within.
I heard of it. Don't know jack shit about it.
It's cool. It's very similar to Resident Evil, the survival horror type thing.
Similar zombies, or are they more like the modern Resident Evil zombies?
From what I remember, it's a little more modern. where they get a little
more... Alright, so they're not, like, oozing, rotting...
Yeah.
Guys.
Then there was Until Dawn. I don't know if you've heard of that game. It's so much fun, and it's actually, like, free if you're a PlayStation Plus member on PlayStation right now. But it's basically, like, this family loses their, like, sister or something, so they go back a year later to the cabin where it happened to kind of, like, memorialize her with friends and stuff. While at the cabin, a serial killer shows up.
Ooh.
But the cool thing is you're playing as all these survivors, but it's like a choose your own adventure. So if you're running, you can either choose to, like, jump through this and keep going, or hide under the bed.
Hide in the closet or go down the stairs.
Right, exactly.
Cool. I actually love choose your own adventure books.
Yeah,
like the Goosebumps
and it's so much fun. And then, like, from what I hear, there's a perfect way you can play the game where every character survives, but I killed like 5 of them.
I'm gonna need some juice for this next list.
But yeah, that game's great. Then there was Dead Rising, which was basically like Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, dude, I actually was excited for it, even though it wasn't available on a Nintendo console till like way after it was already out on others.
The first first 2 were pretty cool. I haven't really played much since then. But then there was Left 4 Dead, another good like survival
game.
I
played it with you for a little bit.
Yeah.
But, you know, I personally wasn't too into it because that was like the running as fast as you can zombies.
Right.
But, you know, whatever. It works for the game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The new Friday the 13th game.
Now, oh, God. First of all, I want to say I'm actually really pissed off that they aren't planning on releasing it on the Nintendo Switch. I'll tell you a real simple reason why. Obviously, on the original Nintendo, the 2 fucking horror games they had was A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. So not only is it kind of a slap in the face to put Friday... Is it on Xbox too or just...
I believe so, yeah. I think it's digitally on both.
So it's a fucking slap in the face to put Friday the 13th's first game in years on Xbox and PlayStation, but not Nintendo where it started. And to take it further, what the fuck did they release as DLC?
Oh, you know? Yeah, the NES Jason.
They released the fucking, like, purple NES Jason as DLC skins for the new game. How dare you put the Nintendo Jason in there from the Nintendo original classic game and say, oh no, there's no plans to put it on Switch. Well, don't put the fucking Jason, the Nintendo version of Jason in there then, you asshole.
Right.
Put it on Switch. I'm not giving up on you. Put it on Switch. But what do you think about the Friday the 13th game? You know more about it than I know.
I was hyped for it when it was coming out because it seemed cool, and then I read more into it, and it sounds like it's all randomized, whether you're a survivor or Jason, and you could play for like long periods and never get to play as Jason, which kind of bummed me out.
I have heard that from even TJ told me, because his friend plays it, I guess.
So I ended up not even picking it up. I figure if it goes cheap eventually I'll get it or something, but for like $40, you know, obviously you want to play as fucking Jason.
Yeah.
At least sometimes.
You would think that eventually they're going to have a Jason mode.
Right.
Where like, just jump right in and play as Jason. Because some people probably do want to be the ones that are running away.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure if that's what you're doing the majority of the time, it probably gets old.
Probably, yeah.
But, you know, it is exciting that they brought it back. I mean, I would love them to do it with Nightmare on Elm Street 2. As long as they use Robert Englund as the Freddy.
Just to run through the last of them.
Yeah.
There was the Alien Isolation game. That was cool. The Silent Hill franchise, obviously.
I played number 2. It's pretty creepy.
Dead Island, another zombie game.
I watched you play that. That one actually seemed cooler. That seemed like my favorite one out of the modern zombies.
Yeah.
Just because the zombies were still a bit creepy.
Yeah, and it was kind of like fun and funny. Like I remember the one character you could play as was like a rapper who would sing this song that was like, "Who do you voodoo, bitch?" Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was stupid. The Last of Us is huge. That game's awesome. Doom, obviously.
I fucking love Doom. You know, to this day, I wish I could get the red Doom cartridge for Super Nintendo. But, you know, I heard that's a really shitty version of it just because of the limitations of the SNES. But Doom, yeah, I played it on PC back in the day, as well as Duke Nukem.
Oh,
they were kind of similar.
I love Duke Nukem.
Especially all the toys that they had for Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? Doom and Duke Nukem, I always felt like those kind of went hand in hand. I always was like, man, I wish they would do a crossover where the two guys team up.
Yes.
That'd be awesome. But I think Doom, a couple years ago, they like re-released the original on modern platforms, but they added the capability to have multiplayer.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my friend were running around with chainsaws, like, oh god, it was so good. It almost makes you think, man, it should have been multiplayer from the start.
Yeah, right.
It was so fun. And then for the first time, you actually see like a human character running around, which is your friend.
Right.
So that was cool.
Then I think there were 3 Evil Dead games.
I know there was a handful. I think some on even Sega Saturn, possibly, and PlayStation 1. I know there was a few on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2.
I only remember 2 of them. I remember playing Hail to the King and Fistful of Boomstick.
Yeah. Which was the one that you had?
Fistful of Boomstick was the one that I had.
But is that the one that was kind of Resident Evil-esque, like the fixed camera angles, the awkward controllers?
Yeah.
You know, I played an Evil Dead game on PS2, and for some reason it seems like every Evil Dead game is really fucking hard.
Always
I don't
fucking
know
hard,
why.
dude.
Like, it seems like you die in like just a minute or two after getting hit. But you know, overall, even amongst horror fans, it doesn't seem like anyone necessarily is like, oh, the Evil Dead games are amazing. Like, if you love Evil Dead, go and get it. They're probably like, if you like Evil Dead, don't play.
Right.
But I know they even had their own storylines, like their own plots and all that. And I know there was like that weird midget character on the PS2 one. But I don't know.
Yeah, you know, it's sometimes it's interesting just to see a game come out with a character that you love.
I would like to see an Evil Dead game made now.
Oh, fucking
now
me
that
too.
There's all this material to work with. Even if there was an Army of Darkness game, I always thought that would be epic.
Oh yeah. We got Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah,
obviously.
That's a really popular one, even especially with kids.
Oh
kids
yeah,
love that. But yeah, essentially that's like Chuck E. Cheese animatronics at this restaurant. They come alive and they kill the security guard, which is you watching the security cameras operating the doors to shut them.
Then we mentioned House of the Dead, and then Wolfenstein was the last one that I had.
Oh yeah, that was like the evil Nazis and all that. Yeah,
it was a cool game back in the day.
Yeah, it was. For horror games, for video games specifically, I think that's all I can recall at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a ton more out
there. I will mention one more. Me and my friend played Haunting Grounds almost all the way to the end. It was a PS2 game. It scared the shit out of me to the point where I didn't even like to play it. And I was like 16 at the time. I would watch my friend play it because it gave me so much anxiety. You're a girl who wakes up in this castle trying to figure out what's going on. While you're trying to figure out what's going on, there's people in the castle trying to fucking kill you. And you have no way to defend yourself until you eventually find the dog, Huey, who you can sick on people. But you don't get any weapons in the game, really. And again, you can hide in the closets, hide under the bed, but there's a chance of getting caught. Kind of like with the Friday the 13th game.
Right.
Just as a last hurrah for the video games, I just want to say it is pretty cool how back in the day, you know, we had Nightmare on Elm Street on Nintendo, Friday the 13th on Nintendo, we had Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween on the Atari. But fast forward to today, on Mortal Kombat, even though it was the remake of Freddy Krueger, they did have Freddy Krueger in a Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah.
And then in Mortal Kombat XL, they had Jason and Leatherface. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of surprised they didn't put Michael Myers in there, because why not?
Right.
Because Michael Myers is considered more of the slashers than Leatherface. Because people usually say the big three. I always say the big four, because I always count Leatherface.
Right.
But, you know, that was kind of interesting. Alright, well, that's it for video games. Now, let's go back in time. Okay. I believe it started in the early 90s, but there was a very fucking scary board game, a horror board game, known as Atmosphere or the Nightmare series. Pretty much, it was a board game where you had to watch a VHS to play it, and the gatekeeper would instruct you on what to do, how to play, like, what player is banished to, like, the black hole, which is, like, you know, this little prison thing you could get stuck in. But anyway, when I was a kid, holy shit, the fucking Atmosphere board game scared the shit out of me. The gatekeeper guy was pretty nasty, and he would call you maggots and all that. Eventually, they made expansion packs for the characters you play as, because you would play after, like, real legends, like Andy Shuntrain, the Witch. You would play as, like, Khufu, the Mummy, the Beast of Gavaldon, which was like a werewolf legend from, like, French folklore. So anyway, yeah, the original series was VHS series with a bunch of expansion packs. Eventually, in the 2000s, they remade Atmosphere, totally remade it, as a DVD board game. So now, you pop in the DVD, and the gatekeeper instructs you on that. But with the DVD technology, with one DVD, they were able to make it so every time you play it, it's a different fucking game.
Yep.
Like, the same thing will not happen twice, because there's so many different options. So I guess it kind of scrambles it up as you're playing, like the instructions and what happens. So me and Steve, we fucking love Atmosphere. We would play it at sleepovers all the time. Say you choose characters, your goal is to go around the board, collect one key of each realm, and then you have to go to the Well of Fears. And everyone actually writes their fears on little pieces of paper. You put it in the Well of Fears, and whoever gets all the keys, you have to get to the Well of Fears and, beat the gatekeeper. Otherwise, you lose the game. So, I love the original series. I love the remake. They actually also did a Khufu sequel to this on DVD.
Oh, really?
A few years after this one. But it's the last one that they did, probably because they just wanted to see, hey, could they redo the whole series again? But they stopped at Khufu. But he originally, I don't think, had his own expansion pack. I don't think he did. So, it was nice that he got that. I never played that one. But moving on from there, and Steve really likes this one. So we have an awesome game called Vampire Hunter. Years ago I got rid of it because, no one played it with me anymore.
Right.
And I have so much shit that I collect that it takes up so much room. But guess what? For a couple bucks I had to rebuy it recently. Specifically because we kind of want to do an episode on it. But here is Vampire Hunter. Oh my god. I never seen a board game quite this amazing.
No.
So pretty much, they call him Dracus, probably for copyright reasons, but let's call him Dracula. So pretty much, you're vampire hunters. You're trying to get to Dracula's castle to kill him before his ship arrives to help him escape. So as you're going around this creepy landscape, you're getting attacked by werewolves, ghouls. And it's funny because you get night cards and day cards. Depending on what the card is, you have to hit the top of the castle, which changes the light. Day is a red light, so it changes the board and it transforms to compensate with the red light. When you get a night card, you hit the top of the castle, switch the light to blue, and that's when the villagers turn into werewolves. Like, spaces that normally are empty will have ghouls on it. As you're walking across, like, the landscape, all of a sudden there's traps that show up at night. So it's literally a transforming board game. To explain it as simply as I can, obviously you're familiar with how the red and blue 3D works, right? Well, how it works is there's red and blue like designs on the board already, but the light is either constantly red or constantly blue. So depending on whether it's day or night, you could only see the corresponding colors to go with it. And it's really fucking cool because when you finally get to Dracula, if you kill him, after you kill him, you're supposed to hit the top of the castle, and then you literally see his body decompose into a skeleton. And holy shit, we all wanted to do that. And it really, really sucked when you would play and you would lose to Dracula, and he would get away in the ship. Because obviously, this and Atmosphere, it takes some time to play. Like, I mean, I would guess maybe this takes half an hour at the quickest to play, depending on how many people you have. But it's cool. You have attack dice and everything to fight the monsters. So Vampire Hunter is awesome. Eventually, we will be doing an episode for Vampire Hunter and a separate episode for Atmosphere. Oh, who knows? Maybe we'll get one guest or something to play with us if we decide to, depending on how it goes. But we cannot wait to play that on the show.
I'm looking forward to it so much.
Especially because it's so nostalgic to us.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like we just pulled these board games off of eBay and like, oh, let's cover this. Like, no, we actually played these games as kids. So it's going to be a pleasure
for sure.
Replay it. Besides that, one more I gotta say is I played with the Ouija board as a kid. Scare the shit out of me. Never played with it again.
Yep.
To this day, now and then I'll bring up the Ouija board to my friends. Like, hey, can we do that at your house? Because I volunteered at my house, and I was like, no, I don't want you unleashing fucking like spirits and all that in there. But so there's horror board games. I would say it started from the Ouija board, worked its way up through board games, then to video games. So. Hey, the next voyage is probably going to be virtual reality horror games. So once I get to that and it's affordable to get a VR headset, maybe I'll have to try some virtual reality horror.
Yeah, fuck that.
But it's exciting because, it's exciting to have horror more than just in the movies. You can play horror. You can experience the horror. You could be the guy getting chased by Jason. So, Hey, horror games are fucking awesome. Please suggest your favorite horror games. There's a ton out there we did not even mention. So tell us about your horror games. Tell us about the scariest moments that you had in a horror game that scared the shit out of you. So, just share your thoughts. So comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Kurious Cyclopes
and Steve.
We are Never Sleep Again TV. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.